And last, but certainly, most certainly not least, we honor one this evening who is retiring. I had the pleasure of sitting in Karen Rosell's classrooms a few times this spring at her invitation. And what I want to say as a student survey of Western art, and once in a Women in Art class, which I hope to return to, everything I just said, being able to observe that daily, ordinary practice, right, of engaging with students, of making them think differently than they thought, to look at the world differently than they've seen it, to bring out things in them they didn't know they had. As I sat in that classroom and watched nearly every student contribute extemporaneously and spontaneously, as Karen would put a piece of art on a giant screen and challenge them to think about it and look at it and examine it, and they would be engaged in conversation and they would make it come alive. And in one class I sat in, she compared a piece of art from many hundreds of years ago to a piece of art from just a few years ago and helped them see connections that I never would have seen without Karen's assistance. Karen Rosell has been a faculty member at Juniata since 1986. In my work with Karen, she has demonstrated that she is principled, she is dogged in her dedication, she is unabashed in her affection for her students, her commitment to excellence. She is everything I described that I hope for the careers of our faculty, that she has in daily life I don't know that it was ordinary, but she practiced the practice of teaching and scholarship on a daily basis, such that as she prepares to retire, truly we recognize one who has had a most extraordinary life and career. Please join me in giving Karen a round of applause. Fully appreciate and honor and recognize a retiree, it is only fitting and appropriate that one of her colleagues read a citation commemorating her service, and then Karen herself will have the opportunity to respond. So I would ask Bethany Benson to please come.
Who recognizes that sound? What was it? Slide projector, right? Okay. The title of my speech tonight is The Best Is Yet to Come. And I want to honor Karen Rosell for the years of service that she provided Juniata College, and I hope I do due diligence with this speech. I'm going to be reading, so I do apologize. Normally I'm kind of a performer, not in this venue. When Karen Rosell quietly announced her decision to retire to the provost and I this past December, my immediate response to her was not, congratulations, or the normal well wishes. It was, can you take me with you? She LOL'd immediately from her iPad, bearing the signature, sent from my iPad, which has a mind of its own. Please forgive any funky typos. Oh, the scapegoat of technology, isn't it wonderful? From slide projectors to iPads, we use it all in the art department. In 1986, the first laptop had been created by IBM, weighing a mere 12 pounds. An LA pop group called the Bangles were topping the charts with Walk Like an Egyptian. And in August of that year, Dr. Karen Rosell began teaching at Juniata College. Many of us know Dr. Rosell as the impeccably dressed, passionate professor of art history. Dr. Rosell has a leather jacket in every color of the rainbow, including earth tones. Dr. Rosell spends countless hours in her office updating her images, up to the moment she teaches about them. Dr. Rosell is often seen chatting with students in the hallways of good outside the art history room. But who is Karen Rosell? Karen received her BA in art history and studio arts from the University of Richmond in 1980. She received her MA in art history from the Virginia Commonwealth University in 1982. And it will come as no surprise that she graduated summa cum laude from both. Karen obtained her PhD in comparative arts from Ohio University in 1986, where she also received the Siegfried Award for excellence in teaching and research. So now that all that standard stuff is over with, we're going to get a little deeper. This is with some help from her beloved husband, Jim, and I would suggest that you might want to order that I'm sorry gift anytime. So, growing up, Karen's father's nickname for her was Cake Face because of her sweet tooth. Now, why I didn't know that for the past 11 years, that could have come in handy a couple of times. On a college-sponsored trip with students to Europe, her exchange partner host heard about her penchant for desserts and then ordered one of everything off the extensive dessert menu, which she then generously shared with all of her diners. Students will come to no surprise. Students in one of her upper level courses kept track of her wardrobe choices all semester and discovered that she never wore the same outfit twice. Amazing. Now the pronunciation on this one, please forgive me if I'm wrong, but I was educated by my husband. Karen's first car was a gold 1968 Dodge Coronet 500 V8 with dual exhausts. Muscle car? We can see that, can't we? I can see that. Karen prefers to drive in the left lane, passing lane. Years ago, she unknowingly passed a North Carolina state trooper in an unmarked car. Just wasn't going fast enough. Why she wasn't pulled over and ticketed remains a mystery, but I'd say, given her vehicle history, maybe he was just impressed, or she could probably outrun him. Her granddaughters, Melina and Kate, who are both here tonight, share Karen's enthusiasm for art, and both of them have had their original artworks published in the Midwest editions of Celebrating Art. Karen's place in Juniata's history. In a perfect world, newly hired professors enter established programs. In Karen's case, she walked into a different scenario. Hundreds of unlabeled slides thrown into large drawers, mingling cave drawings with paintings of Impressionist art. This I can personally relate to. As an undergraduate, I worked for a quintessentially disorganized art history professor who prescribed the same method or lack of organization and wanted to update her categorically inadequate materials. The copy stand, silver tape, the red dot, all part of my vocabulary. Anyway, this is not about me. At that time, the infamous art history classroom with dual screens and stadium seating in Goodhall did not exist. So I ask you to imagine this. The impeccably dressed Dr. Rosell hauling multiple slide carousels from Goodhall to Alumni Hall, then to roll out a cart and set up 2 slide projectors at the beginning of each class. Me, I'd be requesting an office in BAC, justifying that the art is science and we belong in that building. At the end of just her second year, she had become chair of a department of 2.5 faculty members. Herself, 1 full-time painter, Sandy McBride, and 1 part-time ceramicist, Jack Troy. I can only imagine. The phrase herding cats has been used to describe our department, and I can see the roots of that phrase in the OG department. Fortunately, most of our members seem to be cat people, so that kind of worked out. In her time at Juniata, Karen served the college in a variety of capacities. The committees are numerous, and frankly, too many to mention them all. One of particular importance, and one that we now grimace at when faced with the task, was the inaugural periodic program review. Then it was APAC, now it's, anyone, DPC? Karen volunteered to be one of the first academic departments to engage, realizing the potential of this process. The resulting study and report, including outside evaluators, pointed to the deficiencies in resources, but highly praised Karen's accomplishments. As an educator, Karen has left an imprint that cannot be replicated. Rather than summarizing, I would like to directly quote from her students. A professor for a semester, but a mentor for life. From Jerica Jordan, 2014, now a curatorial fellow at the Cleveland Clinic. When I first met Dr. Rosell, sometime in my second year of study, I had no particular interest in art history or theory. I was, like many students, taking her survey of Western art class to fulfill an academic requirement. It took no time to recognize that Karen's classes were fundamentally different. The environment is one of free exchange and learning, based not solely on the ability to retain information, but more fundamentally the ability to seek, digest, and communicate information. Her classes are deliberately taught, not exclusively by her, but by her students. This is academia in its purest form, the Socratic method, and the kind of environment that many professors may strive to emulate, but which is attained only by those of great talent and poise as exhibited by Dr. Rosell. Kenneth Noga, 2011, now a practicing attorney in Westmoreland County. I met Dr. Rosell in 1987, just 1 year after the start of her career at Juniata. I remember immediately being engaged by her love of art history, painting, travel, fashion, history, and of course, chocolate. Hope everyone enjoyed that dessert tonight. Dr. Rosell's positive outlook, energy, and drive to succeed were infectious. Students flocked to her classes. Her teaching style made you want to learn even if you didn't like art. I took every single art history course that I could fit into my demanding and unique POE, combining art history and biology with a minor in philosophy. I watched Karen work tirelessly to build Juniata's art history program and design new and exciting courses, with a very forward-looking emphasis on the interdisciplinarity, realizing that art is the product of the curatorial and historical climate within which it is created. Her lecture notebooks were legendary and lined the shelves of her office. I often looked at them in amazement, wondering how one person could stay so organized and on top of the research in her field. Heidi Wagaman Abbey, 1991, now a faculty liaison librarian to the School of Humanities at Penn State, Harrisburg. I entered college intent on preparation for success in medical school and beyond. Throughout high school, the fine arts could not have been less interesting to me. I hate saying that. I did not understand the relevance of fine arts to medicine, much less how to interpret and appreciate a work of art. Dr. Rosell's modern art course will forever be one of my most favored and treasured courses, and trust me, after several high school AP courses, college courses, and a medical school curriculum, I've taken my fair share of interesting courses. I'll always remember how she gracefully guided contentious debates and discussions over various pieces of art. More impressive was how she succeeded in encouraging thoughtful discussion and debate in her courses with such a wide variety of students, including myself. Now I work in radiology. My art history minor has given me two things. One, I have developed a lifelong hobby manifested by visiting art museums and appreciating the arts in ways I never would have without Dr. Rosell. Secondly, and arguably more importantly, it has helped with my career. Radiology is perhaps the most visual field in medicine, analyzing hundreds of images each day. Jonathan Enderlein, 2005, radiologist in Mount Pleasant Mills. As a young undergraduate student at Juniata College, what struck me the most initially was Karen's incredible depth of knowledge in the vast world of art. Her understanding and appreciation for art history is so varied and intense that she is a wonder in the classroom on a daily basis. She demands the most that any student can give her, both in her classroom and as a mentor. As a freshman, I wandered through my first year at Juniata with little direction, but Dr. Rosell provided me with the guidance and support that would eventually allow me to find myself as chair of an art department as well. I will contact Dr. Rosell for advice on the ins and outs of academia, and her words are never less than wise, inspiring, ethical, and practical. Kara Kofel, 2000, Associate Professor of Art at McMurray College. Finally, Dr. Karen Rosell's dedication to her field, to Juniata, and to her students is rivaled perhaps only by the impact she has had on them all. Over the years, she has exemplified the mission of the college to provide an academically rigorous and personally enriching education. A lifelong resident of Huntingdon, and the first in my family to even be remotely interested in higher education, I was only able to attend Juniata as a result of the newly formed program for area residents. 2 weeks before my first semester, my father died unexpectedly, and rather tragically, and it was only my studies at Juniata that gave me a sense of purpose during the most difficult period of my life. Importantly, it was Karen Rosell's classes that provided that seriousness of purpose. In her classes, always engaging, always insightful, I learned that it is through art that humanity finds and expresses great beauty in the face of great tragedy. Art history became my means of making sense in a world that at the time made very little sense at all. In the end, I was able to graduate cum laude, largely through the love of art history that Karen had instilled within me. Brian Hack, 1994, now Professor of Art History at Kingsborough Community College. In the 33 years Karen has taught at Juniata, she has assembled a breadth of achievements and accolades. Karen chaired the Art and Art History Department for 24 years. In that time, the department grew from 2.5 faculty to 5 full-time faculty members, 2 part-time instructors, plus adjuncts. In 1986, she was awarded the Lindback Foundation Award, now the Gibble Award, and was named a Beachley Distinguished Teaching Professor in 1997. Karen has delivered numerous professional presentations in 33 years. One of particular interest, and one that also encompasses Karen's inclusive learning, was in 1995. Karen presented at the SVA, the School of Visual Arts in New York City, on engaging students in art history, active learning versus passive listening. While I wouldn't know the details, I was just graduating high school after all. I would surmise that Karen's lecture would have referenced the inclusive learning environment opportunities that she created. From audio clips to an assignment where students create a performance piece based on an artwork, Karen has been ahead of the curve, incorporating multiple methods of exchange and pop culture into her pedagogy. 1990 Juniata alum Amy Kelly recalls Dr. Rosell playing Walk Like an Egyptian when viewing ancient Egyptian art. Amy also also informed me that in order to fulfill an assignment for class, Amy performed mayonnaise absinthe drinker. How did that one go? It was also in the 90s that 1951 Juniata grad, Quayton Stottlemyre, attended a seminar offered by Karen at Alumni Weekend, unaware that Juniata even had an art history program. He shared with Karen his family's collection of paintings and other artworks. This coincidental meeting resulted in a huge gift in the creation of the Stottlemyre Gallery and became the underpinnings of the Juniata Museum of Art and Museum Studies program. Karen used her spring 2014 sabbatical and 2 summers to produce the comprehensive 360-page catalog, The Stottlemyre Collection, A Journey. In addition to her own writing, this involved reviewing and editing the entries of 12 students and coordinating the efforts of numerous alumni and others whose photography, databases, graphic design, commentaries, final editing, and printing added so much to the finished book. Karen won the Alumni Achievement Award for Excellence in the Art in 1995 from the University of Richmond. This is a one-time only award to their single outstanding graduate in art history. She has presented and chaired sessions at several professional conferences, and her senior thesis students have presented at the National Conference on Undergraduate Research for the past 30 years, Juniata College's Liberal Arts Symposium, and more recently at the Central Pennsylvania Art Historia Symposium, which Karen organized and hosted at Juniata in 2014. Karen has been named Who's Who in North American Education, the International Women's Leadership Association, and Who's Who Among America's Teachers, Honors Edition. Lessons for us. Many would say that there is no separation between Karen the individual and Dr. Rosell the professor. The focus of her career in academia has always been the success of her students and of the Art and Art History Department. 2014 grad Jerica Jordan remarks, Karen is incredibly supportive of her students. She generally wants everyone to succeed and is willing to go the extra mile to meet them where they are in an effort to help them improve. Jerica goes on to say that if you love your job, you'll never work a day in your life. Karen works harder than about anybody I know, and her overwhelming passion for her work makes it seem so effortless. Gretel Wentling, 1994 graduate, comments that there is no one, and I mean no one, at Juniata who devotes more of herself to her students and her work. Over and over again, I saw Karen go the proverbial extra mile and then some. To perfect her courses and help her students, she truly cares about giving the very best of herself to others. What's truly wonderful about Karen is that her professionalism and meticulous attention to detail are not for the purposes of furthering her own career. She's focused on assisting others reach their goals and furthering the college as a whole. My takeaway from Karen, if the shoe fits, buy one in every color. A well-dressed professor makes everything look easy. The future. Karen, I titled this speech, The Best Is Yet to Come, and I hope that sentiment is true for you. Indulge your passions. The chocolate and fashion industries will be very thankful. Enjoy your hobbies and embrace the uncharted activities you will turn to. Your transition will be phased, and we are grateful that we will continue to see you on campus. Like you, we can't quite let go yet, but there is a whole new world of opportunities waiting for you out there. Congratulations on a wonderful career, and best wishes on the next phase of your life. It has been our pleasure to know and work with you. On behalf of our colleagues, best wishes for a joyful retirement.
Thank you, Bethany. That was truly amazing, more than I deserved. First, thank you to my husband for his constant love and support, and since he's been fully retired, for being my cabana boy. And to our terrific son, Eric, and adorable twin granddaughters, Kate and Melina, thank you from the bottom of my heart for making the trip here all the way from Milwaukee. So I've timed my speech, and it won't take more than 30 minutes to read. Not really. Just kidding. Actually, I'm going to use something that art historians call appropriation, which is a fancy way of saying borrowing someone else's ideas. Of all the great retirement speeches I've heard in my time here, and there have been many, the most clever was that of Bob Riley, a professor of social work. Some of you recall that? I logged it away. Whose speech consisted of one word for each of his 37 years at Juniata College. So here goes. It looks pretty too. 33 words for 33 years. 1986, hired. Simpler times. No technology, no email. But slides galore. Now, PowerPoint, Google Images, and slides no more. All along, happily married, friendships formed, amazing students, fashion, energy, passion. 2019, regrets? None.